back because you can use your own headphones.
Cardi B again.
Again, because it's rotating through all the stations.
Right.
You're going to probably hear 2 more times.
Yes, at least.
At least. So Eliza died at the age of 70, not 50. You guys gave me the number 50. I don't know what that means yet.
It just said like on a roll or something, like roll. I heard roll, but I don't know what else I heard.
Okay. And again, that's why it's recording, so that way I can catch it tomorrow morning.
The name of the what did you say?
That guy in there, so it doesn't keep me distracted.
You take it.
Oh, hang on, I'm going to give Dad all the answers, and then we're going to go ahead and swap out some gear and try some new devices. I think we're definitely going to keep that guy running because you guys are doing really well with that, but we're going to swap out cameras so you guys get a little bit of but 70-year-old when she died, she was going to Philadelphia getting treatments for whatever they thought she had.
7 years old?
7D.
Oh, I thought you said 7. I was like...
It turned out to be breast cancer. We didn't know what breast cancer was. We're going based off her medical records. She died in 1793, like I said. She died in Philadelphia. She's buried in Philadelphia. I make the point here, normally with a large group, like I don't take you to actual cemeteries because, again, you don't get a whole lot of activity in graveyards.
Really?
You're going to go to your mansions 400 miles away.
Right,
Like,
right.
none of you are going to hang out near your grave
Right.
staring at a tombstone.
Right.
Like, that's the whole point.
Unless you really do something to the graves.
I have gotten things from graves, like basically cemeteries and graveyards. It's just not as much as I would say here.
Right.
So again, you guys caught 2 or 3 things already where I'm like, okay, that's actually pretty decent stuff for me to go off of for the next day to research and kind of see if something else matches up. The George is a definite match. The 129.
What about Steven?
I don't think there was a Stephen attached here because the kids' names, there were 4 of them. There was Charles, Thomas, Baby George, and then Harriet, the only daughter. So I usually go into the great big history of them because normally, again, 6 spirit boxes running, a couple of cameras, I got to explain everything. But with, I'm trying to think what else, the mansion caught fire. So normally we'll get the term fire along with the full date. The full date is 12/11/61. So again, it was a pretty big fire. It literally went from one side to the other. It was a big fire. So again, if I find the word fire in the time span that we're actually here, I send you the link to show you how big it was. The whole 9 years. It was a giant one. It was a pretty big deal. I love how he's like all obsessed with where it's going to go from. Actually, I'm just yeah, obviously plenty of time. I mean, I don't pay attention to time, by the way.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, happens. If you guys are capturing a live, then keep going. Surgery.
Did it say... Did you hear like a noise like... Did you hear a noise in there? Like just a random noise?
Did you?
Nope.
So,
I was trying to get... to see if they
this is
were
Eliza,
making
by the
noise.
way. This is what Eliza looked like.
Looks like your mom, huh?
My mom's way
This
uglier
is where
than
we're
that.
standing right now. This was the mansion that sat in the front. So
Okay, so this
this
curve...
is the fire damage.
Careful.
This is all the fire damage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like that's the only photograph we have of the mansion.
Really?
Can I see it?
Another piece is how big the fire was. So we're on the green dot. We're on the edge of the peninsula right here, right? So it started at the Harris Teeter grocery store and literally went that way
Are you serious?
until the water put it out.
Oh my God.
This was $5 to $9 million worth of damage in 1861. Yeah, it was a pretty big fire. Every tour guide's going to tell you about a fire. This is probably one of the biggest ones they've ever had. I mean, it literally went from side to side. And oftentimes, whenever I'm talking about this, the word divided will show up among the spirit box somewhere. So, because again, it's literally divided between north and south.
Ran for her life.
Eliza would have been dead at this point.
Yeah.
But we do get a lot of clues based on who's actually here between the kids. And I normally like separate all the questions with the different spirit boxes. Like, hey, Eliza's maiden name, go after that. See how many kids she had. You find out what happened to the mansion, and I'll separate
How many
everything
kids
on all the spirit
did
boxes, so
Eliza
not everybody's focused on the same.
Gotcha.
So,
What about credit union? Is that significant
No.
or something?
no, these were politicians, not bankers. So you couldn't have been one and the other during that time. All right, I say we get you a new camera. What do you think? You want to try something new? Yeah, I thought so.
I like this camera though. I want to get
Cool,
one.
isn't it?
I like how like you can hold it and like there's the ghost thing.
So let me take that and I'll stop the video so that way you guys have a little bit. I'm looking have like E and
Yeah.
Z so far. Those are definitely two letters in Eliza.
It said like about opportunities or something.
Okay. It's a pretty common thing to hear on the radio. Just imagine, I listen to that recording every day. So,
It said you're not or something.
I'm not what, Eliza? Tell us what I'm not. Very where?
Well, you're good at this, Owen.
Eliza, we want the rest of the letters of your name. Can you show us the letter L? See it?
Is anybody here? It just said no, no. Like in the song, I said, is anybody here?
Well, we're not going to ask yes or no
Yeah,
questions. Remember, that's too easy. We want the ghost to tell us a little bit of their story. Sped up the cursor a little bit.
Rodriguez?
It said your life or something.
Not only do they.
Not. Said right now USS.com or
Oh, is that what
something.
it said? I thought it said Alexis.
What's that say again?
Stop it.
The only thing we're missing is the E. ILZA.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Eliza, where's the E? Show us. Maybe she's going to go after the last name. Give us an E.
What does it say?
It kind of said okay. It said okay.
Well, you got to show us the E. You can't just tell us
Hold
the
on,
E.
so.
That F, that's close to an E, yes, but again, not specific enough. Oh.
Can you put the E in, please?
Numbers always mean something. I dive into pretty much every one. 129?
Yeah. $2.
2 dash.
2 dash. That was a 2 dash. I like it.
The kids have way better hearing than we do.
Is there green on? A green?
No.
Stuff that fresh.
It's rapping, of course.
Those are all the rappers.
It said hello.
Yep.
E. There's our E.
You heard E?
Yeah.
Born E something. Trusted generating room or something?
I'm going to write down that machine, Liza, that we had earlier.
We need something.
Did you say to die?
Yes. We know.
Welcome to what? to our what? World?
I don't know. It just said like diamond. Let's just sing
Diamond's direct as a comic commercial for us.
50.
It's a stretch.
George?
I see. You heard George?
Georgia.
I see BG as in big, and then the J is before it. Like it's almost like there was an attempted spelling of Big John.
Oh. Huh.
Dad, turn it back up.
It's very vague.
Wow. Yeah, but
Are you directed to Mary?
And way different time spans. Like this is 1700s. Like that's
Right.
1970s over there.
right.
You know what I mean? Wow, this thing's going nuts.
It kind of looked like, it kind of heard like blue, but it was like ee boo boo. It's like ooh boo boo boo.
So George is actually relevant in a couple of different ways.
Oh.
There's two different Georges that will normally pop up over here. Oh look, now we have the B-I-G.
Oh, wow.
If anybody is here, say hello.
Separated. But if it gives us an O, it'll be almost like he's trying to spell his name.
My last name is
Anybody's here?
G-I-B.
It is.
E-A-U-L-T.
Anybody's here, say hello.
That V just threw everything off.
Tomorrow we have a medication. We know you are going to Vegas. Or something
I'm
like
not going to Vegas. So George is relevant because Eliza and Charles had 4 children, and their one tragedy among those children was George. So the possibility of him being mummified and kept right here in the house waiting for his mom to die is a very high likelihood.
Oh, really?
So it's a possibility, a great possibility. that
Were you
George-
waiting
Under
for
what?
your mom to die?
You said under.
There was no basement to the mansion, so it's not like they would have been under. Where you guys from?
Winning is something something.
We're from Ocean Isle, but I'm originally from Vermont.
Okay, so you guys had basements in Vermont? We don't have basements here.
Yeah, no.
So, unless, you know, it probably would have almost been like an altar, like a separate room of the house.
Gotcha.
Kind of mentality. I don't know that there was ever a basement per se, say underground. They may have had looking at the mansion from the ruins that we have pictures of.
Steven something.
Steven something. So I'm going to write down Steven. This thing is just going berserk. But when you said George, that's what I got excited about. The other exciting part about George is that George Washington is the pallbearer. That was the funeral.
George Washington? Serious?
At his own request.
Wow.
Yeah.
One night, like a night something.
What's funny about that whole scenario, based on your particular investigation that we're doing, is normally when I bring my whole groups in here, like the big ones, I tell them, I'm not going to give you questions like, what color is George Washington's white horse? So that way it puts George Washington in the back of their brain, and I want to see who's going to subliminally give me that message.
Right.
You guys gave me George without anything.
Right.
The other piece of that is we've had a lot of W's in here.
Yeah.
And a lot
What
of times
color
we
is
get
the
GW,
red
George
barn?
Washington is 4 syllables. Like that's a lot to come out
Well,
of.
we got G too?
We had G, we had a W, the A was there. I can't say that we had a lot of the rest of the
Cardi B just came on.
What was it?
Cardi B.
Cardi B. But again,
Before you can talk about.
the problem with this is it's hard to keep track of things because it just
Yeah.
keeps overwriting the next term. I do have it lit, like the sensitivity is all the way up, so I'm going to scale it back.
Yeah,
just
they
a
need to
hair.
make it so you can save like the whole night on the letter.
To turn it back up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, the other piece of this is that you can teach the ghost how to tap on it. So
What color
whenever you tap on it, it's
is
supposed to give you, see where it says tap on a
your
letter?
house?
But if another letter
What
comes
color
up
is
and
the
it's
red
from
barn?
the EMF, it'll say mag for magnetic field.
Oh.
And then the other one is going to be temperature. So in the event the temperature changes, it'll say temp.
I think it's trying to say red because I said, what color is the red barn?
It might. Again, we get it all the time.
Right.
Again, I'm out here 7 nights a week, dude. Like, those.
You stay that busy?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Unless I get rained out, yeah.
Heck yeah. Oh yeah, we thought we were gonna get rained, didn't we? We were pissed.
So to get you the quick answers to these questions, and then we're going to swap out your camera before we go to our next stop. So you guys gave me, like George gave me the 129, I don't know what that is. That almost looks like a date to me, like January 29th.
Right.
It's like it's cussing, but...
Mm-hmm. You're going to hear a lot of that. Again, that's the whole point of it. Alright, so how was that? I don't know. Tell me, what'd you hear?
I don't know, someone like grunting.
We're gonna stop here. So, this is the big red barn. You have to imagine, I normally take 10 to 11 people out at a time. This is actually kind of nice to not be completely sold out. So just gonna point that out. So, the history here is really simple. This is the same red barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Oh, wow. So, very simple history, and I do it that way on purpose so I can teach people about their devices. When I'm teaching people how to use spirit boxes, it's usually a matter of teaching them how to ask the right questions and how to ask those questions appropriately. Respectfully, I guess is the right term. So in a space like this, how do I put this? What's the first question you would think somebody wants to ask, like a Ouija board or a communication device?
If somebody's there.
If somebody's there, exactly. Good job, man. Normally it takes like 15 minutes for somebody to figure that one out until I actually spew it out. But in the event Dad hears the word no, that means somebody's here. So we are not going to be asking yes or no questions all night long. It's too easy. So again, if you hear buy your houses and you think you heard yes, too easy.
Right.
So again, we're just going to stay away from that. We're going to go after some specific things. Okay. So with that, if somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is a great question because you already know the color you're looking and listening for is the color red. However, looking for clues because you're listening to song lyrics and DJs. Right. The word red might not be available.
Right.
Fire truck, blood, heart. Those three things are specifically red. That would make more sense to me. Most of the night because, and this is why I pulled out so many devices for us to keep swapping out, testing things, I'm going to require that there's at least two things going on. Are we going to capture something in both cameras? I have no idea.
Probably.
It's a matter of, he might not be able to see it in real time. It's normally about the review the next day on cameras. So, just so you know, so the closer he is and the more still he is to be able to filming for us, we'll see how he does. But I'm going to require most of the night that there's at least two happenings going on. So if you hear the color red, I'm still going to be looking for either an EMF detection, something else to go off with this guy, or if you heard another term that might actually make sense, that you heard the word barn. You know what I mean? Something along those lines. Right. So if you can see all the words that are starting to pop up already, nothing relevant that I can see so far. So we're just going to let it continue on. Because again, I'm not seeing anything relative to our space at all in that set of words. So
what about Indian and red?
Kind of vague. A little bit of a stretch.
Just put that in your mouth.
No. I said hello.
Oh. Well, it's not a microphone, it's an earbud.
I thought you could maybe hear.
No, you're going to help him listen to that at the next space. Alright, so now that you guys kind of have the gist of what your devices do, just imagine if I had 10 more people here, because I will go up to 11 if I have to. And I have to explain more devices, more cameras, that kind of thing. It gets a little nutty because everybody has questions, but you guys seem like you're getting the gist of this, which is really cool. Alright, so we're going to go to the next space and we're going to learn some much deeper history than the football players and ponies. This is more like the tutorial piece, so we're kind of over that. We'll kind of see what happens at the next one.
So the places that we're going into, are they haunted or?
Every one of them. I'm not taking you anywhere that is not that I would not consider haunted. The other thing is the other ghost tours. Like you guys said, you booked the Yorktown. Is that right?
Yeah.
So
we canceled it.
Were they doing an investigation there? Because I didn't think they were doing them anymore.
No, they were just doing
tours.
And so he wanted more than that. And so did I.
Oh, gotcha.
Because we already went on it, yeah.
How many times we still want to just
right. So I will tell you, because they used to do a very small, how do I put this, investigation of the book.
Right.
So, and that was run by an author, a writer, Bruce Moore. But basically he had some laser lights, and he had a camera and a K2 blinky light meter, and that was the end of it. So, and you would watch him work. So that's why I sent you that text. Like, just to be clear, you're going to be using the gear.
Yes.
Just because most people, like, believe it or not, that I get, have no idea I'm putting in the work.
Right.
Like, they show up and they're like, we're working? I'm like, you paid me to come to work. Like, it's not for my collection value.
Right.
Like, it's so you guys can learn how to do this.
Right.
So, you're in an empty parking lot. Let's actually move in a little bit further, just because that's the only entrance and exit. I know it's the middle of a week, but we should be okay. This place used to be pretty important. I know it's a parking lot now. But I will tell you, I'm going to withhold information on purpose, too, especially tonight, because we're going to kind of keep things simple history-wise, like I mentioned. But this used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion. So somebody's mansion, their giant house, stood in the front of this parking lot. It's not there anymore, obviously. But the woman who lived here, she had a garden. Her name was Eliza Pinckney.
And she got bit by a snake.
No. Eliza, her garden was lined up with that church over there and came all the way across. And we're standing where the servant and slave quarters used to be for the home. So the whole importance of the story I normally go into big elaborate detail with is that she's the one who started the indigo crops for South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
So you guys have been around town, you've seen the word indigo somewhere, I'm sure.
Yep.
Now, indigo is a plant that makes blue dye.
Yep.
That makes our blue jeans blue, because that's how we still use it. But she didn't know what to do with it. When she got it, she had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. So she's from England. Her mansion's not here anymore. Again, I'm trying to keep the
Servant.
history. We're standing in the servant quarters.
Servant. Wow.
So, yeah, it
That's
gets
crazy.
Sometimes things get a little nuts. So, and Eliza might actually appreciate the fact that I'm not parading 10 to 11 people out here tonight. And again, I normally go into this big 10 to 15 minute elaborate story, but I will tell you, like, we're gonna focus
Wait, I just heard something.
What'd you hear?
Yeah.
What
That's
did you
what
hear?
it does.
A radio.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what it's
music.
supposed to do.
What were they singing?
You got to pay attention to what what the words or whatever in the song or the broadcaster says or whatever.
It's like rock and roll, kind of.
Okay.
And then the news.
Yeah, but you have to pay attention.
But what did the news person say?
It's just going back and forth.
Yes, but the whole point of this is that the spirits communicate through this, through the radio stations, through the
I think I got
broadcasters.
it. Did you see the movie Transformers?
Yeah.
Do you remember Bumblebee?
Yeah.
How he talked through the radio?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. The ghosts are talking through the radio. Does that make sense now?
In someone else's voice.
In somebody else's voice.
Okay, so it just said blue, and then it's kind of like rapping.
So here's the funny thing. This is why I love when I have kids with those things. Indigo makes blue dye.
And you can hear a lot better than me.
I normally give that to teenagers, especially the ones with the earbuds, because they're really laser focused. And they all tell me they heard Harry Styles. I'm like, I don't care who you heard. Tell me what Harry Styles was singing.
It's rapping.
Yeah.
It just rapped.
Yeah, but I don't care about the rapping. I want to know what the words were.
I don't know what they're saying.
Just watch. You'll get a good one in a minute.
It'll come in. So we're going to focus on Eliza's death. Okay, so how old she was when she died, what she died from, where she's buried, because these are all very significant things.
Where's she buried?
Is she laying in bed? Did she die in bed?
It's a good possibility. Why?
You just said something about
I'm more
she was
interested in
laying
the
bed.
city. Like, she didn't die here.
Oh.
So it's a matter of the city, because
Okay.
it's a very specific answer.
Okay.
And then there was a president that was a pallbearer at her funeral.
Okay.
So sometimes that'll come through too. So I'm actually really glad he decided he was going to pop that in his ear.
It just talked about football, kind of. Like it said
We're still
something
near
about
Big
football.
John's, so we're going to get bleed over into whatever's, like, we're not going to find a whole lot of bleed over spots. This is one of them, because Big John's is still only a block away, and the Big Red Barn's still right there. You still might get something close enough. So again, this is one of the, like, when we leave here, we won't hear anything else from these people.
It just talked about the football again a little bit.
Football again. The only thing I got is spouse. Her spouse was really important. Like, he was a major politician for the city. So again, until I have something else about that, again, it's a matter of looking at the clues. Again, right now it's pretty vague. We're going to kind of see how that goes. Let me pull out the little Ouija board guy too. Let me see what's going on with that. again, that's why we use all this different stuff.
They have an impact. That's what it just said.
Yeah.
They have an impact.
Okay, so that's good, but I want to see if something else is going to be a little bit more like the color blue, definitely specific to our space. So I'm going to turn this way.
It just talked about dying.
Okay. Let's clear this up and get us a whole new fresh start. Eliza, this is that new box again. Maybe you want to give us your initials. Just got to get close to this box.
Can't tell what he's saying. What it's saying.
What's funny is this is not picking up on any EMF fields at all.
What did you say? I didn't know what was happening.
Eliza, spell your name.
Feel the world around me. That's what it just.
Feel the world around me. I like that.
I know that song. I like that song. Camera thingy is.
How's that?
So the firefighters came to my school, like they do every year, and we got to use one of those things.
That's cool. So you're going to use one here tonight too. So I'm going to hand this one to you. It's got a little bit. It's a little heavy. So you're going to grab it by the handle right where my hand was. There you go. Nice and easy. So, Dad, we're going to get you started with a spirit box. I'll show you how these guys work. So I do use 6 different styles of spirit boxes.
Wow.
Because they all do something a little bit different than the next one. So what a spirit box is going to do, in this way, because you're going to have an earbud in just one, so that way you can hear me too. But basically, this is the white noise you would normally hear on the TV shows. Now, the TV shows give you disembodied voices, meaning like growls and hello, like that kind of thing. That's a rarity. Like, believe it or not. Like, I only capture about 4 or 5 of those a year. It's not that they're false. They can happen, but I'm not getting 12 per episode. If you get what I'm saying. So, the other method you can use with these is to actually allow the radio chatter to come through. So, the song lyrics, the DJs, the commercials. So if you hear, welcome to Charleston, listen to 93.9 today, like that kind of thing. Like, I want to know that you heard, listen to 93.9 today. So it's a 50-50 shot. We can tie it to where we are, a person in history that I'm going to mention, or even something going on with one of you.
Yeah, I was going to say, it can also have something to...
always.
Yeah, right?
It's always a factor. Right. So, because you guys bring people with you all the time.
Ow.
So, that's always a major factor. Now, the cool thing is, I know you're going to have an earbud in. I'm going to write down whatever you hear that I feel is relevant to our spaces, but it's also recording. So you can mess with the volume up and down as much as you want. It records even Steven. I don't know how, but it does. So I'm going to spot check this guy tomorrow morning as well to kind of give you about 15 to 25 more markers, whether it's relevant or not. If it's relevant to our space, I'm always going to send you a link to go along in that message to say, like, hey, this person was born in 1793. Here's the link to prove that. So again, it's always about the research. So I'm a writer. I'm about to start my history major and my master's degree in that. So not that I need another freaking master's degree. But
how old are you? Like 28?
I'll take that, sure. But I have kids closer to that age than my own age. So, but again, earwax is gross. You get to keep these. I don't want them back. I buy them in bulk. So undo your little twist tie there, and your volume button is the wheel at the top. So it's already recording, so it's already started the minute I turned it on because that's the way I have it set up. And it is at the slowest setting possible, and you're going to see all the radio stations sweeping right here. So again, kind of get used to how that guy feels.
This is cool.
Oh, we're going to be doing a couple of cool things tonight, buddy. Actually, I'm going to run this one on my phone instead of the other one, just so that we can free up some hands. And that way I don't have
that thing gets hot.
Yes, it's going to get even more hot later on.
I like hot things. I think 100-degree shower.
So, this spirit box is going to run a little bit differently. So normally I have a separate device set up for this. You getting the gist of how that works?
Yeah.
So this spirit box we don't have to listen to. It's kind of like the Oculus that they would show you guys on TV. So it's going to give us a word from time to time in the center of the screen, and it's going to save all of the terms into a word list with timestamps on it. So this is a phone app. It is a purchased, upgraded phone app. Now, the last tour I did with my own phone had 62 terms on it, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to clear them out. It's about 75 is about the average for, 1 hour 45 to 2 hour type investigation. So this is a phone app. 80% of this is so it's the other 20% where I'm like, it's kind of the same principle of what you're doing.
Right.
Not welcome to Charleston, but this investigation, your shirt is green and it's really blue.
Right.
You know what I mean? Again, it's going to be BS. So I'm going to just keep this running in my pocket and just kind of pull it out from time to time. The last thing, this is going to be our new guy. So this is one of the things we're going to keep swapping out from time to time.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is the brand new device that nobody's using yet. It's called an Envoy. In a nutshell, it is basically a digital Ouija board.
Are you serious?
A Ouija board?
So basically
You
what
get
it's going to
haunted
do
by
is it's going to, you've seen the EMF detectors, right?
Yeah.
So it's taking EMF spikes and it is converting them into a cursor letter. So you can see the cursor moving across the screen.
Yeah.
It'll stop on a letter whenever the EMF spike stops or gets high.
Oh, really?
So again, it's working off of different things, but I'm still focusing on just the EMF for now because it'll go off of temperature and or touch. So again, I'm sticking to one thing and kind of testing how this is going to work for us. But again, we haven't gotten a whole lot out of this, but I've only had it for like 2.5 weeks.
Gotcha.
So maybe 3 weeks at this point. So there's a letter. The letter is what? O?
Oh.
Okay, so exactly. So these are the types of things. Like we could get initials, anagrams, full words, full names. Like I've seen almost a full name pop out of it so far. OD. So I've seen initials pop up for sure. It'll also give you numbers if you ask it to. It just doesn't save them into the bottom row. So the other thing it'll do is yes and no questions, which I hate. We're going to talk about that. But I like to stick to the obviously being a little too sensitive. I shouldn't be giving us this much. That's a little much. So it's obviously because we're still close to electrical pole over there, so the EMFs are going to go up a little bit. So this guy's going to be kind of slid in my little pocket here, and I'll pull it out, and I'm going to swap this out from time to time with you guys. Last but not least, the other necessity.
The firefighter thing.
Nope, we're going to do that one later on.
Yeah.
The one that you normally see on TV is this guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to use that.
No.
We're going to use something a little
No,
bit more.
that's not the one that I'm talking about. It's the one like where they're in a fire and
Yeah, I have that. I know what you meant. But you've probably seen that little blinky light one on TV.
maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
Yeah, probably.
This guy is the one we're going to use. It's way more accurate.
Yeah, like that.
So this guy, it's going to measure EMF fields. So anything above 2.5 is what I want to, like, I'm going to be keeping an eye out for. I'll just kind of keep it in my side pocket until you guys get used to it.
2.5, okay.
2.5. So if this little 0.5 is probably, and the natural EMF from the Earth is 1.1. So you're going to see I'm very sciencey and geeky about this. So again, 2.5 is the second green dot on that blinky light one I just put away.
Okay.
And they're using the same units of measure. So that way I can kind of have a comparison and I have all of my folks here. The bottom is ambient temperature. When we are using that fireman camera, we'll be able to debunk things pretty quickly or prove them pretty quickly with the ambient probe right here. The last thing that it has is a REM pod. I'm sure you guys have seen those, a motion sensor.
Yep.
So in the event something comes close to the antenna, it's going to go off. I'm not touching it. I'm touching it now. So there's different colors and numbers. I won't always use that just because it can be distracting when I'm trying to explain things to you guys further. I basically want to use the major EMF function for this at this point. So we'll kind of take things from there and kind of see how things go. Okay. So I'm just going to slide that one in my back pocket, and then we're going to swap out your camera shortly. So that way you have something else to work with. And that way you guys get a little bit of everything.
Okay.
So, of course, there's a reason why we start here. This place is haunted. Of course it is. So, I'll keep the history really simple and short.
Listen up.
Alright, so, this place was named after a football player. I don't like football, so I had to memorize all this crap so you guys knew what the hell I was talking about.
Yeah, you did.
His name was Big John Kennedy. So, it was obviously his bar. He named it after himself. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. Every time we're talking about a location or a space that we're in, I'm going to give you specific keywords based on that location. Here it's going to be 47, New York, Giants, anything relative to a bar for your spirit box and for the one that's in my pocket. Now, he used to sit in the back of the bar and he would tell the bartender if the kids coming over from the cadets basically were from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys came in, they weren't old enough to drink, so you had the bartender throw them out. They came back the next night and they tried to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John saw what was going on and he starts beating him up. He just starts pounding him right into the floor. Well, there was a gunshot that went off. John got hit in the neck, but the bullet didn't go all the way through. It just grazed him. It went in the wall behind him. So John got up after he was shot, he goes back to the bar and he tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys he just beat up in ambulance. So, the funny thing about that story is that nobody died in that story. Normally, if I tell you a scary story, you think of some kind of death. What's haunting the place is the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. So people that sit in the front of the bar tend to get a little queasy, a little nauseous, a little headache.
Huh.
Normally, I give this story as kind of a heated warning that if anybody starts to feel those things, I need to know. So, same principle, I just won't elaborate because of the size of our audience.
Rock, is it in rock? Is it a rock?
No, it's going to be in the front, which is a normal old plastic type wall. But, again, it's one of those pieces where you guys all get the same text, maybe an extra Big John's, maybe goes out to eat over there, and I get somebody from work, I'm like, it was a great steak, you're just going to finish it. Why not? My stomach feels upset. Happens all the time. Really? So, and I won't say that people haven't gotten sick or basically a little paranoid from this tour.
Right.
So, we'll talk more about that later on, depending on how he's doing. So, we had a big earthquake here. Did you know that? Did you guys take other tours?
I heard something about that.
This building is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. That earthquake happened in 1886. So, the white mantle you see in the middle of the building, a piece of it broke off from the front of the building and hit somebody in the back of the head and killed them. And the previous owner of this bar used to say he saw shadows in the middle of the street in the middle of the night. I say allegedly a lot with that because I don't have any proof.
Right.
It's just his word against, and I don't get any evidence from that other than the fact that it's a great segue so nobody thinks about getting sick on the tour. So let's go do some more recording so you can get a little bit of footage, and then I'll swap cameras with you in a little bit. Let's head up this way. I'll tell you about the next spot.
Oh, I see. I can turn this up.
Oh yeah, you can play with that volume all night long.
Are we gonna go in places?
We are not. Some of the places we're going to don't have anything in them at all. It might be an empty space. A lot of these places don't want ghost hunters in them. And I'm thinking of the spaces that the other tours need to go to.
That's what we want, right? Oh.
Good.